Hi there viewers, thank you for being with us today on this edition of the news. In the English language, our major stories this evening, viewers, worrisome figures, disturbing statistics of cases of femicides, infanticides and sexual assault on minors in Cameroon. Is Cameroon becoming a mass grave for women and children? That question lingers in the mind of an average Cameroonian these days. 50 women killed in 2023, 67 killed in 2024, and 77 women murdered in 2025. Now we are still counting those who have been killed in the last 6 months and the many children sexually assaulted by sick predators. The sad situation brought together 4 government ministers in Yaoundé who say the problem is dire and must be handled urgently. And today we bring to you horrific details of how Martinez Zogo was severely tortured and murdered with the complicity and direct involvement of some big names in Yaoundé. The journalist had his body parts chopped off while he was still alive and conscious as he pleaded with his victims for mercy. Those stories and more in just a moment. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for always being with us. Thank you for your usual confidence. A moment of profound shock unfolded in the Yaoundé military court as graphic video evidence linked to the murder of journalist Martinez Zogo was presented during the ongoing trial. The evidence is being described as a major breakthrough in the case that has captivated national and international attention since the journalist's abduction and killing that was in 2023. Our reporter Babila Jonathan tells us more about the emotional courtroom scenes and the significance of the newly uncovered digital evidence.
Military court was gripped by emotion and shock Monday as graphic video evidence linked to the murder of journalist Martinez Zogo was presented during a crucial phase of the ongoing trial. The disturbing footage projected before judges, lawyers, journalists and relatives of the victim triggered tears, panic and visible distress across the room. The evidence was introduced by cybersecurity and digital forensic expert Professor Georges Bell Bechoga. According to his testimony, investigators were able to recover deleted multimedia files from automatic cloud backups linked to a WhatsApp account belonging to an agent of Cameroon's external intelligence services. Among the materials shown was a video capturing Martinez Zogo in his final moments. The journalist appeared severely injured, lying in an open field, pleading for his life. Additional photographs and videos revealed signs of severe physical abuse and bodily injuries. The graphic nature of the images deeply affected the people present in the courtroom. Members of the civil parties broke down in tears while journalists and human rights observers struggled to contain their emotions. Following the presentation, Professor Bell Bechoga told the Yaoundé military court that forensic analysis had established significant digital links between several of the high-profile suspects currently in detention, a development that could prove decisive in determining criminal responsibility. Martinez Zogo, a radio host at Amplitude FM known for exposing alleged corruption, was abducted on January 17, 2023. His mutilated body was discovered 5 days later, sparking national outrage and international concern. 17 defendants are standing trial in the case, including businessman and media owner Jean-Pierre Amougou Belinga, former External Intelligence Service Director General Leopold Maxime Eko, and the institution's former Chief of Operations, Justin Danwe. As proceedings continue, the newly recovered digital evidence is being viewed as a major breakthrough in the search for truth and accountability in one of Cameroon's most closely watched criminal cases.
And now over to this other lead story, worrisome figures, disturbing statistics of cases of femicide, infanticide and sexual assault on minors in Cameroon. The question is being asked, is Cameroon becoming a mass grave for women and children? 50 women have been killed in 2023, 67 in 2024 and 77 women murdered in 2025. We are still counting those who have been killed so far in the last 6 months, and many children sexually assaulted by sick predators. And that situation brought together recently 4 government ministers in Yaoundé who say the problem is dire and must be handled urgently. As Mandikan Gabriel tells us in the report, which comes up next.
Amid renewed public outcry for justice in rape cases, including that of Joyce Nawal, 3 government ministers held a joint press briefing in Yaoundé. They were the Ministers of Communication and Government Spokesperson Emmanuel René Sadi, the Minister of Women's Empowerment and the Family, Professor Torres Abena, and the Minister of Basic Education, represented by the Secretary of State, Professor Ashiri Kilo. The government spokesperson said all living rape victims are receiving support through the Ministry of Women's Empowerment. He stressed that children's rights remain a government priority and called on all stakeholders to join the fight against abuse.
Be it the government or other institutions of the Republic, associations, religious denominations, traditional authorities, civil society organizations, or every individual member of the national community, each and every one of us has a responsibility to play our part in prevention.
The briefing also addressed concerns that the penal code offers limited protection to children under 18. The Minister of Women's Empowerment used the opportunity to reassure Cameroonians.
We are in the process of elaborating a specific law on gender-based violence, and the process is sufficiently advanced, and we are hoping that that project will reach the Parliament during the next session. It is our hope, because we have worked for several months now and the process is quite advanced.
While the Ministry of Basic Education urged parents to work with schools.
The ministry insists on special vigilance on our children when they are handed to us on campus. The ministry insists that parents should know who they hand their children to. Preferably, they should accompany these children themselves and not give middlemen. They should pick up the children themselves and also indicate to school administration who comes to take the child and who drops the child off.
Despite the minister's assurances, many Cameroonians see the time for statements is over. They are now calling for concrete action.
And now, what has been government's response on violence against women and children in Cameroon? Civil society actors in the country are demanding for tougher measures and strict punishments for predators. Cedric Chakutio has more.
The Cameroonian government is intensifying its response to the resurgence of femicide and gender-based violence. Despite this institutional stance, civil society and local associations denounce the slowness of the procedures, the lack of overall official statistics, and the verdict sometimes deemed too lenient in certain legal cases following the public debate.
J'ai envie de vous demander qu'est-ce qu'il advient de l'affaire Divine Barga, par exemple. J'ai envie de poser cette question, aussi banalement que ça.
Clarence Yongo, civil society actor, questions the government's outing, citing cases which till date have not found answers.
Je ne remets pas en question ce qui a été dit, en tout cas j'espère que quelque chose va être fait, mais je questionne à partir de ce que nous observons.
To her, it is good to announce sanctions, but it is preferable to implement these sanctions on the perpetrators who commit these acts.
Vraiment, je vous assure, c'est difficile.
She adds that the current legal framework is insufficient, even though Cameroon made an effort to update its penal code in 2016.
Mais je pense que ces questions ne sont pas posées réellement. Donc, cette absence de
To her, it participated in a comprehensive evolution of the various articles specifically addressing violence against women and identified shortcomings which should be changed.
Nous n'en serions pas là. Donc ça fait que on observe ce qu'on a aujourd'hui. Et puis la troisième chose que je ne vais cesser vraiment de marteler, c'est la recrudescence de la consommation des drogues.
For women's rights advocates and civil society actors, the penalties for perpetrators should be doubled or even tripled when they are intimate partners or family members of the victim.
In education, today thousands of candidates began sitting in for the GC examination, ordinary and advanced level across the national territory. And for the second time since the crisis erupted in the southwest region, candidates wrote the exams in Muya. We are in the Boya subdivision. Our reporter Rex Afon had a conversation with the principal of that school in Muya, who also doubles as the chief of center. Let's now join them in this conversation.
Here in Muya, at the GHS Muya, where students from Form 5 and Upper 6 who are now candidates of the GCE, the General Certificate of Education, are currently taking their exam this morning. They have been taking diverse subjects, and with us is the Chief of Center, Madam Ngowaibai, who also doubles as a principal. It's a pleasure having you again once more on Equinoxe television. And we must say that green environmental friendly nature of your campus is
a beautiful campus.
Indeed. Beyond the beauty, we are talking today about the GC, the written phase of the GC. How has it begun here in Muya? We know this is the second time you're
writing on campus
since the
crisis.
The crisis. So how has it been going since morning?
Beautiful, wonderful. You see the place is quiet, the candidates are in the hall, the superintendents are there, the invigilators. We had a smooth start for the day.
And about how many candidates are being accommodated here?
In all, we have 902 candidates for both the ordinary and advanced level. But today we have about 650, 700 candidates writing. We have 216 A-level history, 309 O-level history, 117 A-level chemistry.
And beyond that, we've seen also that there is a little bit of reinforcement at the level of the security. And you said that the authorities of the town, they decided and promised that we were going to get maximum security here.
Yeah. Really, I want to thank the governor of the region for reinforcing security. We need it. This is an exam. It is not school time. Anything can happen. But I know that with the presence of this massive military that we have today, we are going to have it all through the exams. At least that I was assured, that we are going to have it throughout the exams to make sure that the exams run smoothly to the end.
Maybe we should talk a bit about last year. Did you have any challenges that warranted that these people should be deployed to the school?
No, we didn't have any challenge. You know, last year was a trial year. But when they saw our resilience and they saw our determination, so this time around they have become our partners. They decided to partner with us to send us the military.
And also we've seen you move to classrooms to inspect how things are going on. We've also seen beyond the inspection, there is the installation of CCTV cameras. Why all these checks? Why? Is it that you don't have trust? Is it that you do not educate the students enough that cheating is bad?
We have done all of this. But you know, like students, they always look for an easy way out. So that's why we have the CCTV cameras. To pick them, all those who want to cheat, we'll pick them. And we have reinforced the invigilators. You realize that there are there are three in the hall to make sure that students don't cheat. They have studied for 9 months. It is time for them to showcase what they have learned. We have done our part. Let them do theirs.
The teachers have done their parts, and now it's time for the students to do theirs. And they have studied for 9 months. Now it's time to replicate that on their examination papers. And that is what we have for you, Malaglo. We also have to tell you that also at DGS Moliko, the exam is also going on smoothly as students and teachers are also ensuring that the process is going on well. The principal is there, candidates also in their thousands like to we were told by the principal are also writing in that center. We will be giving you reactions, more reactions from the students and the chief of centers in the subsequent editions of our newscast, reporting from the environmental friendly campus of or GBHS Munya. I am Rex Afon, Equinoxe Television.
Thank you, Rex. And we will be talking more on the commencement of the GCE in the second part of the news. Now, over to something else. The presence of the National Episcopal Conference of Cameroon, Archbishop Andrew Nkea has called on all stakeholders to work together or hand in gloves to restore and consolidate peace in the country. Speaking during the ongoing National Episcopal Conference, the nation's political capital Yaoundé, His Grace Andrew Nkea said lasting peace cannot be achieved unless the state listens to the concerns of the people. He stressed that the recommendations made by the Holy Father, Pope Leo XIV, during his visits to Cameroon remain relevant and should be taken into consideration in efforts to address the nation's challenges and promote social cohesion. Let's now listen to him in this excerpt.
One thing I must be able to say to you today is that Cameroonians must be serious. It is not the Pope who are to leave Rome to come and tell us to live in peace. We ourselves must know that we need peace. And everybody, whether in the government, whether in the church, whether in civil society, we must do everything that peace and justice reigns among us. And this is what I'm saying, that this week that the bishops are gathered here, they are going to study all the ways to see how to implement the recommendations of the Holy Father. Peace is not a decree. Peace is lived. And we must look at ways for Cameroonians to live in peace. And you hear one of the things the Pope said there: to have peace, listen to your citizens. The state must listen to the citizens. And this is very important for all of us. Listen to the citizens. The state cannot live as if citizens don't exist. Listen to the citizens. This is a big recommendation of the Pope. And I think during our work, even in the church, we are going to be studying how to listen to our people. This is an implementation of synodality. Listen, listen. And the church, we have to look for ways to also listen. Thank you very much.
And now over to Nigeria. Out of our national frontiers, security concerns in Nigeria's education sector continues to mount as 39 pupils and 7 teachers of a primary school who were abducted during coordinated attacks on schools in Ahoro, a Sinde community in the Oyo State, by terrorists on May 15 remain in captivity. Most of the children are sick and one teacher has been beheaded already by the captors, prompting protests by teachers, parents and the education advocates demanding for their immediate release across Nigeria and stronger protection for schools and pupils. And over to Senegal, a growing political rift between President Bassirou Diomaye Faye and former Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko deepens after the ruling Pastef party announced it would not participate in the country's newly created government, raising fresh concerns about political stability as the country grapples with mounting economic challenges. Innocent Ase with our foreign page roundup.
Senegal's political crisis deepened on Monday, June 1, after the ruling Pastef party announced it would not participate in the country's newly formed government, exposing growing divisions between President Bassirou Diomaye Faye and his former ally, Ousmane Sonko. Earlier on Monday, Sonko, who was dismissed as Prime Minister less than 2 weeks ago, held what he described as a lengthy meeting with President Faye to discuss Pastef's role in the new administration. While the two leaders reportedly found common ground on some issues, Sonko said significant disagreements remained. Following the talks, Sonko announced that Pastef would not be represented in the newly formed government despite the party holding an overwhelming majority in parliament. Just an hour later, newly appointed Prime Minister Amadou Al-Aminou Lo unveiled a new 30-member cabinet formed by President Faye. The announcement sparked further confusion as the new cabinet reportedly includes several ministers linked to PASTEF, seemingly contradicting Sonko's declaration. With PASTEF controlling most seats in the National Assembly, this standoff raises fresh concerns over political stability as Senegal seeks solutions to its mounting economic crisis. Elsewhere in Nigeria, the girls abducted from Ahoro Isinle community in Oyo State remain in captivity, deepening concerns over the growing wave of attacks targeting schools in Nigeria. Their continued detention has sparked outrage among teachers, parents, the civil society, and education advocates who fear for the safety of both learners and educators across the country. In response, dozens of protesters from Ogun and Lagos states took to the streets carrying placards with messages such as "Education must not die in darkness," "Release our teachers and learners unconditionally," and "Nigeria, our blackboards are turning into graveyards." Demonstrators condemned the increasing insecurity around schools, warning that classrooms are no longer safe spaces for learning. Protesters said repeated kidnappings and attacks have left teachers working in fear, especially in rural communities where security is limited. They called on the Nigerian government and the security agencies to urgently rescue the abducted victims and strengthen protection around schools, warning that failure to act could further undermine the country's education system.
Nigeria should be safe for all Nigerians. Yeah.
Thank you, Innocent Ase, and that takes us to the end of the first part of the news, viewers. Talking Points comes up right ahead. Welcome back, viewers. We told you that thousands of candidates today began the written session of the General Certificate of Education Examination, the GCE, across the national territory, and especially in the northwest and the southwest regions, where most of the candidates had to brave all the fear, death threats to get access to their accommodation centers. And our guests tonight are two heads of centers, Madame Mokoko Efangehana and Anjita Elodi. We begin with you, Madame Mokoko Efangehana. You are the Chief of Center of GBHS Bojongo in Douala. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being our guest tonight. Tell us how the exams unrolled in Bojongo today, and were there some irregularities? If yes, how were they handled?
Thank you. I am Mokoko Efangehana, Principal of Government Bilingual High School, Bojongo, and now Chief of Center for Center number 11749, Government Bilingual High School, Bojongo. In our center, we are Outcome Center. So in this center, we are accommodating 8 other registration centers. And we have a total of 1,050 candidates who are sitting in for the O-level and advanced levels for this year. So for now, this morning, we were prepared from yesterday or before, because we had the pre-evaluation meeting with the GCA board officials. That was on Friday. And on Saturday and Sunday, we took time to check our cartons to see that all the writing materials were available. And yesterday, Monday, the 1st of June, we had a pre-evaluation meeting with the superintendents and the vigilators. And in this meeting, the superintendents handed down instructions on the conduct of exams from the GCE board. And this morning we were prepared because the secretarial workers, 2 of them, they took off time to go through the attendance registers for the 2 subjects that were taking place this morning, history and chemistry, O-level, advanced level, O-level history, advanced level chemistry, and history. So the exam started well this morning.
Thank you so much, Madam Hannah. Now, Madam Elodie Ntitaipus Modo is on standby. Thank you, Madam, for participating on the news. You are in Bonaberi, where there are so many internally displaced students who are sitting in for the General Certificate of Education examination. Now, most of them are faced with so many difficulties. What are some of those problems that you encountered with them on day one of the GCE, and how did you guys navigate through?
Thank you for receiving me today as your guest. We have so many candidates, so many candidates that are from the Nous areas, and right from the period of registration of the GCE, most of them were facing challenges of registering the exam. So for some, our proprietors or goodwill people had to help top up the amounts that they had for them to be registered. And in terms of school fees, most of these candidates did not pay their fees. This morning when we came, we were bound to give their timetables so that they should write, hoping that they do well. And out of that, we also have candidates who have, where they live is extremely far from the center. So we had to talk with some of them so that their mates, they could relocate and cohabit with their mates who are closer to the school, or they join some teachers who are available to take some of them to write during this period. That's the best we could do. For those that we can identify who are hungry, it's a normal thing that we always do, give them food to eat during this period.
And now, Madam Elodie, what of candidates who have health issues? Let's say a candidate develops a fever while in class. How do you handle that? Have you had such a case before?
We actually had a candidate who came about 12 minutes after 8, and the candidate was from the hospital. The candidate came with a medical doctor and with drips and so on. So at that level, we had to call in the superintendents who came and then saw the situation with the medical report. It was a type, so we had to keep the candidate at the infirmary. From time to time, the school nurse has to attend to her, and then she tries to write, because once the candidate is absent for a subject, the candidate is considered absent. So they had to do everything possible to make sure that the candidate should come and sit in for the exam.
Now, Madam Elodie, before we go, we believe it's already day one. Day one is over. The students should no longer be afraid of the GCE, especially the first-timers like those who are going in for the ordinary level. Now, what words of assurance do you have for those candidates, especially those who are in Form 5 and writing the ordinary level?
The GCE exam most times comes with a lot of panic, as you rightly said, because it's not like any other exam. It comes with some kind of tension. And what we do as head of school and also counselor or parents is that the first thing you need to do or tell your child is that the child should understand that this exam is not different from the exams that they sit in class. I'm talking of the first term exam, second term, and even the third term exam. It's just same exams that they do write. But the difference is that they write now under different conditions. And the first thing they need to do is that every candidate should do everything possible to prepare. When I talk of preparations, it's read. Once the candidate has read, and there is that tension during this period, the candidate should believe in his or herself. They should believe in themselves that they are capable of doing it. It's not strange. It's a 5-year program and a 2-year program that they have been doing. So it is just to come and reproduce what they've learned for all this while. The second thing that I'm going to advise any candidate who is writing is that once you write any paper, no matter how good or how bad that paper may have been, you don't discuss the paper after the exam. Forget about the paper and prepare for the upcoming paper. Then, before every candidate goes to sleep, prepare your writing material. I'm talking of the individual timetable, the school ID and national identity card, your writing materials that you need for the next subject that is upcoming. You prepare it and keep, so that in the morning, you make sure you just go to pick the pack that you have kept, and then you come to the center. Do everything possible to leave your different homes by 6 a.m. so that even in worst case scenarios, you're going to be at the center by 7 or maximum 7:30 and will not be faced with the challenge of being locked out. And out of that, they should be very much cautious with what we call VIP groups. The candidates know what I'm talking of best. The VIP groups are most of the groups that they mislead them, and the GCE board this time is extremely strict. They have actually sent out flyers in which the candidates are told the sanctions that bewait them if they end up being part and parcel of these VIP groups. So out of that, they need to manage their temperament. They need to know that they are capable of the exam and go into this exam as any other exam, believing in themselves. And I also told my candidates, one last thing I did tell my candidates is that all of them should first of all believe in themselves and tell themselves congratulations. Once you see success, you're going to work towards success. You reflect in that exam hall, you see the question paper. If it's that difficult, just give yourself some time. After that, you reflect. When you reflect, you can start picturing certain things that will bring back your brain into the classroom and you'll be able to write. Out of that, I wish every candidate good luck, and we are counting on you all by the end of July when the results will come out.
Good luck to all the candidates as well. And thank you, Njita Elodie Pusmudo and Madame Mokoko Efangehana for accepting to be our guest on the news today. And viewers, that does it for this edition. Thank you so much for always being there. Our programs continue tonight. Equinoxe would be yours in about 30 minutes with Sajaleng, and Julien Beth Bisay will be with you at 8 p.m. for the news in the French language. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television and see you again tomorrow same time, God willing. For now, it's bye-bye from us.